Hi, I'm Stephen R. DeSena. I've been in the real estate business for 65 years, and today I would like to share experiences that would help a homeowner sell their home faster and for more money. And while you're looking at this, one of the things that's going to come across your mind, say, boy, this guy is old. Well, you're right. I am old. You know, a prerequisite to have 65 years experience in anything is you gotta be old. I'll be 83 on July 4th, and that's when I'll have my 65th year in the business. So at times I may slow down, at times I may stop to think, but I'm trying to give you the benefit of 65 years of dealing with people of all ages trying to sell their home for the most money in the shortest amount of time and make the least amount of mistakes doing it. So hang on, we're going for a ride. First of all, you want to deal with a real estate expert, a licensed agent who can help you go through the process. You know, you wouldn't try to give yourself an appendectomy, so don't try to sell your own home, period. Here's one of the reasons. We used to be able to get a sales contract on 2 pages, and this is all we need to go into escrow and close the escrow. Today, this is what it takes to sell a home, the paperwork involved, so that we have basically a lawyer-proof transaction when the house is sold and closed. You want someone with experience, lots of years in the business, but continually educating themselves through the years. You don't want someone who's been in the business 15 years and is using his first 2 years' experience and is not growing with the business and as the business changes. You want somebody who's a good negotiator, because what it comes down to, when that sales contract comes in, you need somebody to negotiate for you. Psychological studies have proven that a buyer or a seller cannot negotiate for themselves as well as a trained negotiator. I think it's important that I explain to you what the fiduciary relationship between you and your agent should be. Unfortunately, you could probably ask 10 licensed real estate agents what a fiduciary relationship is, and 8 out of 10 wouldn't have the right answer. A fiduciary relationship is one where the agent do whatever it takes legally to get you the highest price in the shortest amount of time, even if it isn't in his best interest. Well, you may be thinking, what do you mean not in his best interest? Here's an example. There was a broker in town that had a ranch listed for $1 million. Nobody came to look at it for 12 months. He extended it a month. Nobody came for the 13th month. So he made an offer to the seller in Arizona with a minimal down and a 15-year payout. While the contract got to the owner called him and said, because he had a few questions, and while he was doing that, another offer came in from another outside broker for $1 million cash. The agent immediately told the seller, you've got $1 million cash offer, it is your decision. And the guy says, I'll take the $1 million cash. And the agent said, good, that's what I would do. Now, the seller was smart enough to know, says, well, you just lost $50,000 in commission. And the agent said, I understand that, and I probably lost $250,000 in profits over the next 15 years, but you got the offer you wanted, and that was the best offer at this time. That is a fiduciary relationship where the agent worked for the principal even though it wasn't in the agent's best interest. And that's the kind of person you want working for you. You don't want an agent that has dollar signs in their eyes. You want to start getting your house on the market as quickly as possible. So start the listing immediately, because you're going to need probably 30 to 45 days to get the house sale ready for the prospective buyer. There's 2 sets of things you should do. The first involve bringing in professionals to do certain reports on the house that are necessary. You want to know if you have problems with the house, and you can figure out what they're going to cost, and you won't be surprised in escrow and disappointed. And here's the basic ones if you're living in the city. First of all, you would do a pest report. Now, in some areas, the termites have a 1/2 undivided interest in the house. Dry rot is insidious. You look at the deck, you find 2 bad boards, you say, that's not bad. Then you find out there was no flashing behind the boards, and then you find out the siding is going. You rip off the siding, and then you find out the studs are going. You have to know this before it goes on the market. Another test that you should have here is radon. This is something new. The last homes that were sold in Nevada County, California, had a radon problem, and we had to put in special equipment to get rid of the radon so that the owners weren't poisoned. These are the basic ones. Now, if you're living out in the country, you have a whole new set of inspections you need that you want to be aware of. Number one, make sure you get a well report. You want a well report so that the prospective buyer knows how many gallons per minute he can expect. Number two, you want to get a report on the age of the pump so that the prospective buyer has an idea how long that pump's going to last. Another report you want is if the water is drinkable, because you'll be surprised how many people want to be able to turn on the tap and drink the water. And in our country, in gold country, you want to find out what the heavy metals are, because we have found some properties where the water had 10 times the arsenic involved in it than the federal government really approved. And it had nothing to do with production, it had to do that it comes natural when it is in gold mining country. There was an older couple that we really asked to have the septic report done ahead of time. They says, no, let's wait until we're in escrow. There's only two of us. We've been here for 15 years and we've had no problems. Well, when the people came out to check the septic system, they pumped the tank. A guy jumped into the tank with his hazard suit on, got his camera out and got his flashlight out and checked it out, and the tank was good. Problem was the water wasn't going through the leach lines. They ran a camera down the leach lines and found out it was plugged with tree roots that had grown into it over the 15 years. So this was about an $18,000 surprise because all the rules had changed on septic systems from the time they bought the house and now. So again, prevent surprises, get all this work done and all the reports done before the escrow. You know, if you're hiring people to come in to do work, be sure you give them the right address and double check the address, have them give it back to you over the phone and make sure they got it. I can tell you a funny story about what happened on one of our transactions. We knew we had to have the house open. We knew the lady was working and hadn't had a chance to clean up. We called our cleanup lady the night before, gave her the address as 167 something street, and we wanted her to clean it by noon when the house was going to be shown and open to the public. So she went over there to 167 and started cleaning up, and by 10 o'clock she was done. At 10 o'clock I went over to my house, the 167, and guess what? The house wasn't clean. Everything was dirty. Everything was still in the sink. So I called her and I said, what happened? I said, nothing's clean. She says, I cleaned the whole house. I even made the beds. I said, where did you clean up? She said, well, 176. I says, no, it's 167. So naturally, she had to come running over to our house and to clean it up. I mean, it was a funny story. She wound up cleaning 2 houses. I had to pay for 2 houses. And some lady came home from work and found a house that was nice and clean, and probably to this day doesn't know why. You probably want to get your property corners set because for many reasons these corners may not be where you think they are. A lot of people use the fence lines as their property lines. This is totally untrue. Some people have their fences 5 feet into your yard. Some people have fences 5 feet into their own yard, which would not be a good indication of where your property lies. And if the prospective buyer goes to build something and he doesn't have the right property lines, it could prevent him from doing additions or something else he wants to do in the future. Now you need a licensed person, a licensed surveyor or engineer to do this for you. There was one instance where after we checked the property lines and the corners, we found out one corner had been moved 15 feet into the neighbor's yard, and we found out that he wanted it on his acreage because it included 2 or 3 beautiful oak trees that he wouldn't have had on his property if he hadn't moved the stakes. Now these are rare, but it happens. Another one that we totally didn't expect happened in a subdivision where the parcels did not line up, the parcel in the front with the parcel in the back. They were offset. So then they put the fence in, they put it from the front line to the wrong back line in both instances. So neither fence line was on the property line. And this had to be corrected at the time of sale. So the thing is get these things done before the escrow so that you're not holding up an escrow. A buyer usually has 17 days to look at all of the reports. And if it takes 30 to 45 days to get the work done that has to be done, you could extend your escrow and lose the transaction totally. But if you get it done ahead of time, you have prevented a possible loss of sale. Many times when you have your house listed, you want to put specific instructions on things that are important to you, like make sure the burglar alarm system is on when you leave. And make sure that the cat, Fluffy the cat, is inside the house. Now, when you say Fluffy the cat, would you please say the color of Fluffy the cat? It will save a lot of problems in the long run. Here's a story that really illustrates that. One of the agents went into the house, and the listing said, watch out for Fluffy the cat, make sure he stays in. He checked the whole house, couldn't find Fluffy, closed the door, let the people look at the house. The people liked the house smelled good, even though there was a cat in it. And he lets the people out, and as he's closing the door, this big, beautiful, fluffy cat comes and wraps him around his leg, scratches at the front door. And the agent says, oh my God, there's Fluffy. She must have gotten out and wants to get in. So he closed the door on Fluffy and let her in the house. About 45 minutes later, he gets a call from the owner. The owner said, hi, did you show my home? Yes. And he said, hi, how's Fluffy doing? And the owner says, okay now. And he said, what do you mean now? He says, somebody left in a big white cat and they had a fight. And I had to bring Fluffy to the doctor. And he says, what did that cost? And at that time, it wasn't much. It was $135. So the agent had to write a check for $135 to take care of the cat. So be sure you're very concise on any special instructions on your listing agreement. Now, we've talked about what the professionals have to do in order to get the house ready. Now we have to talk about what the homeowners should do and have to do to get the highest price for their property. There are certain things they have to be aware of. We have one we call the $10,000 doorknob. That's the one where the prospective buyer comes on. He either rattles the front door knob or one of the doorknobs on the closet. It rattles. It goes cha-ching. There goes roughly $10,000 in value, because the first thing he thinks about is, if they haven't taken care of this, what else haven't they taken care of? The other thing is, all those little things you've been able to live with, the drip, drip, drip of the faucet, get that faucet out of there and put in a new one. A couple of $100 can make you a couple of thousand on the sale of the house. That slider that won't slide, get it to slide. Worst thing they can do is have the prospective buyer pushing and tugging, trying to get the slider to open up on the deck so he can see the beautiful view. The next thing is, look at your window screens. Do you have little patches in the corner? Get rid of those little patches, rescreen it. Do you have dual pane windows? Make sure you have dual pane windows and not dual fog windows. Get those repaired. Again, anything that the prospective buyer can put his finger on is going to cause him to make a lesser offer. Got stains in the toilet or stains in the sink or stain in the tub? Get rid of them the best you can. Clean that house up. Now, I have something that we call the looking glass syndrome. You as a homeowner have to create a looking glass for that buyer that transforms your house into their house. And you do this by getting rid of distractions. You know all those pictures of grandma, grandpa, the grandkids, and great grandma on the walls? Take them down. That buyer, when he looks through the house, wants to see his grandma, his grandpa, their grandparents, their children, their grandchildren. So you have to get rid of those on your home. Take them off the walls. All those souvenirs you brought home from the different trips, put them away. You may have to get a storage unit, but if that's what it takes, do it. That house has to be pristine. Look, you're only going to be in the house hopefully for 30 to 60 days after you put it on the market. Get those closets thinned down. Those jackets you haven't worn for years, or those dresses you haven't worn for months, or those shirts and those hats. Thin it down where you have a 30 to 60 day supply, and all the rest get put away. Get your medicine out of the medicine cabinet, put it in a little box, hide it under the bed if you have to. When people look at medicine, it makes them sad. It reminds them of a lot of things, a lot of negative things. You don't want that there. When you're in the kitchen, just keep the basics in your closets or in your shelves and what have you. They don't want to look at your stuff. They want to be able to look through the magic glass and see their stuff in your kitchen. These little hints will help your house sell faster, less time, and for more money. Use the research that companies spend billions of dollars on talking about smell and odor and what makes people happy and what makes people unhappy. Unfortunately, many of the sales that we encounter today are from homes owned by older people. And part of the aging process is they lose their sense of smell. They have these cute little cats. They have these cute little dogs. Some of them are housebroken. Some of them aren't. The minute people walk into the house and smell the odor of an animal, it turns off the sale or drops the sale close to 10, 20, 30%. We had one issue with one home that we actually had to take the carpets up, take the padding up, scrub the floors, and then shellac them in order to make the house smell good. So the thing you have to remember is, if you were looking for a home, would you rather walk into a home that smelled like a bakery or a kennel?